Alright, so in part 1 of this video series, we talked about why water is such an essential nutrient and why eating a fruit-based diet is the best way to ensure optimal hydration. In this episode, we're going to talk about when to drink and how much to drink and what to drink and all those kind of logistical parts of the drinking thing. So how much to drink? Well, this one is very, very simple. Just like how much to eat or how much to sleep, it's enough. You need to drink enough. You don't want to drink too much. You don't want to drink too little. If you drink too much, that can be a very big problem. It will flush out electrolytes, sodium especially, out of your body and can cause a condition known as hyponatremia, low blood sodium. Very dangerous, even deadly. If you drink too much water, that's called water poisoning, water intoxication, people talk about that. So you just definitely don't want to drink too much water. Not drinking enough water will result in dehydration, and we spoke about that in part 1, why dehydration is not ideal. So you don't want to drink too little, too much, you want to drink just enough. Now, of course, how much is just enough? Well, that depends. That depends on a variety of factors. And there's really 3 main factors that come into play here. First, is the one we already covered, which is your diet. Are you eating a diet of fresh fruits and vegetables, or are you eating a dry diet of processed foods and toxic stuff? If that's the case, you need to drink more water, but ideally you should just eliminate that type of diet and eat a fruit-based diet instead. So with that out of the way, we really have 2 main factors that influence your hydration, and that is climate, especially temperature, and exercise. In terms of climate, we all know this. When it's hot, our body starts sweating. This is a cooling mechanism to cool itself down. And when that sweat evaporates, well, we're losing water and we need to replenish it depending on how hot it is. The hotter it is, the more we sweat. The more we sweat, the more water we lose and the more water we need to drink to replenish it. This is quite obvious. The other thing is exercise. Of course, we know this as well. When we exercise, our muscles create heat, and this heat needs to be lost because our body needs to maintain a stable core temperature, so we need to lose that excess heat, and that is done again through sweating, partly. So we sweat and we lose water. We need to replenish. And if we're exercising in hot conditions, in a hot climate, well, then that's the double. Then you really need to replenish water. So someone who is in a cool, temperate type climate during winter, not exercising at all, they will need very little water, very little. Whereas someone who's in Thailand, in the tropics, running around in the middle of the day in 35 degrees Celsius, well, they're going to sweat a lot, they're going to need a lot of water. I've had both experiences. I've been in Thailand drinking liters of water every day, in addition to the fruit I was eating. And I've also been in Norway drinking barely half a liter in a day. Generally speaking, I think it's recommended that we drink something like 2 to 3 liters of water a day. But this is, of course, based on the standard population eating a standard diet, and we already spoke about that. So when you start eating fruit, you will notice that your need for water, represented in the form of thirst, goes down dramatically. You will simply be satisfied with the water you're getting from the fruit, and there's no need to drink more water unless you have thirst, unless you really have that desire for it. And this is something you learn over time. You learn to interpret the signals that your body is giving. And so it's somewhat of an experience kind of thing, but it's also quite foolproof, because in the end it comes down to this, just like with sleep and eating. Your body knows. You will know how much to drink, because if you're thirsty, you should drink. When you're thirsty and you drink water and it's just like, oh yes, and you easily drink water, it goes down easily, well, that's when you need it. But if you pick up the water bottle and start drinking and it's just like you have to sort of make an effort to drink, then I wouldn't drink. Your body knows how to regulate this naturally. It's just like eating. If food is interesting, you should eat. If food is not appealing, you shouldn't eat. You don't need to eat. When you're sleepy, you sleep. When you're awake, you're awake. I mean, it's a foolproof mechanism that's evolved over millions of years. We don't really need to learn how much to drink, as long as we're eating a natural diet. When we go away from our natural diet, all kinds of things happen and mess up the system and the balance in the body, which can cause us to desire more or less water and that sort of thing. So eating a healthy diet, living a healthy life, your body will naturally know and you don't really have to think about whether or not to drink. How much do I drink? Well, typically it depends. Again, if I'm eating papayas, I'll need less water than if I'm eating bananas. There's a little bit more water content in papayas than in a banana, but it's not a huge difference. Watermelon, of course, is very hydrating. So it depends what I'm eating and it depends on the climate. As I said, I've been in Norway drinking maybe half a liter a day, up to maybe a liter. With exercising and stuff, I might drink up to a liter a day, but the rest of it comes from the food. If I'm in Thailand, as I said again, I've been there drinking several liters a day and eating lots of fruit because it's just, sweat is just pouring off, and I'm not wearing a shirt, I'm just walking around bare chested all day and just sweating. So it varies depending on the location. The point is you don't need to push it in any direction. You don't need to limit your water intake, but you don't need to push it either. Just naturally drink as much as you feel like. Now let's talk a little bit about when to drink and how to drink. Well, first of all, what to drink? Well, of course, it's water. It's just water. There's no other drink. Anytime you get into something like coconut water even, or any other drink, it's usually, there's calories in there. And if there's calories in the drink, it's not really a drink, it's a food. Just like papaya has water in it, it's a food, but it does supply with water, and same with coconut water. Water is the only true drink, so that's what we're talking about when we say drinking. Just like with meals, I don't really recommend grazing. So I don't recommend drinking a little bit all day long, always having the water bottle. I'd rather see you drink meals and have, like, I'm thirsty, I drink till I'm satisfied, and then I'm done until I'm thirsty again. I think this is how it would be in nature. You know, if we were in the wild, we would go to somewhere where there was water, we would drink, and then we would go away from there. We wouldn't be having a water bottle with us at all times. Now, there's nothing wrong with the water bottle, you just don't want to sip it constantly throughout the day. So personally, when I find myself thirsty, I just drink until I'm satisfied. You know, might be just 100 milliliters, it might be a liter. Depends on the situation again. I'll just drink until I'm satisfied. When to drink though, because this one is an important one, because when you drink water, it needs to come out of your stomach before it can go into your bloodstream and become hydrating, right? As long as it's in the stomach, it doesn't do anything. So really you want to drink on an empty stomach for best results. By drinking on an empty stomach, your stomach can just empty that water quickly because there's no calories in there, and get it into the bloodstream and start hydrating you. And that's typically takes about, for the water, if you drink, you know, half a liter or so, it takes 15 minutes, maybe even half an hour to sort of empty that out of the stomach. There's some definite numbers on that, I don't remember completely, but it takes a little while for your stomach to empty that water, and then you can eat. If you do it the other way around though, if you eat first and then drink the water, then you have a problem, because now the water just sits on top of the food with the food, and it just takes much longer to get out of the stomach. I don't know if you've ever tried it, probably you have. I just know for myself that when I eat something, I'm done with the meal and then I drink, it's just very uncomfortable. So I like to drink before my meals. And that essentially means that when I wake up in the morning, if I'm at all thirsty, which I usually am a little bit, I'll drink. I'll drink as much as I feel like when I wake up. Again, it might be 100 milliliters, might be half a liter or a little bit more. Okay, I'm done. Then I eat breakfast, usually an hour later or so. So, you know, I've been drinking water for the morning. That water has gone out of my stomach. I've got an empty stomach and I can eat. I eat, and then lunch comes around, I probably do some exercise. I'm thirsty after the exercise. I drink first thing after finishing exercising, or even during. I drink water, and then 15 minutes later or so, I have my meal, my lunch. And the same goes for dinner. If I'm thirsty before dinner, I'm not. But if I am thirsty before dinner, I'll have a little water and then my dinner. Outside of that though, if I am thirsty, I will drink. But usually I anticipate it. I know that if I don't drink before lunch, I'll get really thirsty at 3 o'clock, for example, after lunch. So I know that, so I drink before lunch. And usually it's not really drinking without thirst. As soon as I start drinking, I notice that, yes, my body wants this water. But again, right now, I'm here in Nis. I might just drink 200 milliliters in the morning, maybe 300 milliliters. I might drink half a liter to a liter for lunch after running, and then I might have another 200, 300 milliliters before dinner. And that's really it. And right now I'm eating sweet potatoes and stuff for dinner, which is cooked, boiled. Baked, then you get much drier food again, and it's a bigger problem in terms of hydration. When you boil foods, it maintains the water content, and it's still hydrating to some degree. But it's not as hydrating as fruit, so I do need to rely more on drinking water when I'm eating those foods. So it's a learning process where you learn to know your body, you learn your needs. But generally speaking, I'd say drink according to thirst. Drink when you're thirsty until you're satisfied, and try to make drinking something that happens before the meals rather than after or during. You don't really want to drink during your meals either. When you're eating, you should be eating. So that's it. Stay hydrated, eat lots of fruit, drink as much as you feel like when you're thirsty until satisfied, just like with eating and sleeping and everything else. Your body knows what to do. It depends on the climate, it depends on the temperature, it depends on your exercise. But again, your thirst will be regulated accordingly, and you will naturally know how much to drink. If you're interested in personal advice, of course, I offer health coaching. Most of you know this. You can go to our website, sweetnaturalliving.com, where there are various health coaching options and programs where I can, assist you via Skype, taking the next step towards health, whatever that means for you. Maybe talking more about hydration or starting a raw food diet or anything like that. Thanks for watching. I will see you around, and have a good day.